Okay. There we go. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Let's turn that up maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right, cool. All right. We got a bunch of stuff to watch. So, well, I guess we'll just start going through these builds, watching stuff, trying to figure out what we're going to watch. So let's do this.
Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Welcome to what I believe will be the best build of the upcoming Lord of Hatred Season 13 expansion. You can see it here in the gameplay, absolutely blasting through a Pit 100. This was from GameStar. This is the Dread Claw Warlock, and you can play this for leveling, and you can transition this all the way into the end game that we've already seen. I'm going to link both those planners below here, and we've seen this also from the GameStar video here, where this build is absolutely cooking Torment 12 Belial. So right from level 1 you can play this, and you can see here the crazy is hitting for hundreds of billions of damage, and there's like multiple hits here on Torment 12 difficulty versus the Belial boss. And this build also seems to be extremely tanky, as he's like basically tanking this entire boss all the way down here. So here we have it. Dread Claws leveling. So the main skill is this Dread Claws here. Both the planners are going to be linked below, and this is just absolutely having an insane amount of multipliers available on all fronts, basically. Like you have double damage on the first upgrade. You have a 65 times 4 base. That's already 260 base. You're getting double here. You're getting another 50x here. And we're also getting another 30x up here from this upgrade. There's two different upgrades you can play. Either the 30x up here, or the one where it casts around you and your demon. And you already have this demon. He's called Lalish. That's the summon demon right here, summon Lalish. And this one is also tremendously powerful here, allowing you to make the enemies vulnerable and just to like dish out a crazy amount of damage. I've already played this a couple of times here. You can see there's a YouTube video right here as well, where we played this during our test where I was at Blizzard, and I already played this build, and you can kind of like see the playstyle here. Like you basically just blast around, you're like super mobile, and you have like a swarm around you that just absolutely like melts all the enemies here, shooting out claws and just like killing everything like in very quick succession here. And it's just a ton of like mobile build with the nether step. You see, like you basically have like this kind of like semi-teleport where you like go in the ground, and then you can keep going ahead to just deal an insane amount of damage, and also have a lot of mobility, which is going to be also really important for the end game for speed farming, but also to get done with the story real quick. So this is level 40 footage here that I played myself. I already played this build. I know it's pretty cool and it's pretty fast. It's definitely the fastest one that I have seen out there. Now everything obviously here should be taken with a bit of a grain of salt, guys, because we haven't seen like the full end game like power of this. We've seen it doing T12, but who knows how high Pit this will do, and there might be other strong builds, right? But the playstyle is pretty straightforward here, and there is a step-by-step leveling guide here that then later transitions, into the full end game, and you can just see here like the step-by-step
Does he have it in
here. So in the beginning, we use Doom here to hex the enemies, to generate resources, and also spread vulnerable as well as...
Hold on. I'm going to bookmark this because... Where are we? Dread Claws Warlock. Is there anything for D4 that I need to put on here? Probably not. Nah. Okay. So then we should be good. Oh, arc attachments. Let's put this over here. There we go. All right. So I have this up. Okay, cool. So I have this bookmark. So, okay. I just wanted to get that bookmark for later.
Slow effects.
I'm probably going to play this build.
Then we use the Dreadclaws here as
Because
main
Rob
DPS.
has
And,
usually
we have
the
Leader
craziest
step
shit.
here just to move around, to gain shadow stacks, to deal more damage. And this build will be fully updated. Basically every day I'll post and I'll update the planner to min-max this even further. And I'm just thinking that this is going to be the best build, at least that we know so far. There might be some crazier builds, but this is a very good starter. And you can do T12 with this build for sure, as we've already seen proof. I've shown this to you. So Sentinel here is very good for single target early on. You have this like focused glare rune, almost working like a Bane of the Stricken here. And you also make everything vulnerable with this here. And then you have this like crazy Sigil of Subversion giving you a Hex and also Shadow Form. And Shadow Form, my friend, is increasing you Abyss shadow damage. So this skill here has many tags. Like we are getting the Demonology tag, the Core tag, and the Abyss tag here. And this is very important for multipliers that scale super well into the entire end game, basically. And in the beginning phases, guys, we will use the Terror Swarm as an ultimate. This one is pixel pulling enemies in with the rune that you saw in the video here, the Searing Infestation. It is also like following you, right? Like this is this, that's the swarm here that basically is like with me all the time when I use it here. You see, this is like the swarm, you can use it here. And it just like follows you. Like, see, it's like around you and it just absolutely like just murders all the enemies on top of your Dreadclaw. So this is what we play for leveling. But then when we transition into that game, so here you have the step-by-step guide, like when you choose which skill, right? All the gear here. I just chose some starter sets. The slaughter set is pretty cool in the start. And just some random stuff that you will have here. We don't know exactly how this is going to look and how many stats we're going to have here. But we're not going to have a 6-piece or 5-piece set while we level. So I didn't choose one here. Now in the end game, now we're talking about the end game. You have both the planners below. So this is leveling. This is end game. One of the questions I get a lot, guys, why we don't use a weapon in the leveling build, it's because if you check the notes, you have rotation here and like you have the embeds and stuff. And it's because we will switch the weapon all the time. If you find a new weapon during the level process, you can't afford to imprint it all the time. So we will just constantly switch our weapon. So I do not recommend putting an aspect on your weapon early on, especially not imprinting it because it's a waste of resources. You rather imprint your amulet or your offhand and stuff and just keep updating your weapon. Every level that you get, you can get higher DPS weapon and just use a blue or a rare weapon in the start. And then we transition into the end game. And now we are also dropping the Terror Swarm, and now we play the Metamorphosis here. And the reason why we do this is because in the beginning, we will not have enough cooldown reduction to maintain the Metamorphosis permanently. And in the end game, it looks like we can at least like get close to have Metamorphosis permanently. And I have a starter build here completely without mythics. That's just starting out. Unfortunately, we don't know the Paragon, but we do know the skill tree. So once we know the Paragon, I'll add the Paragon as well. But for now, there is no Paragon. Keep that in mind because we don't know how it's going to look like. But we already have...
So a quick little side note on that. So the Blizzard did this on purpose. Blizzard stopped or didn't release any information on the Paragon because they wanted people to have a surprise when they play, so what they said. So the reason he brought that up is Blizzard purposely did not show any of the Paragon because they wanted to be surprised, and I think they don't want people to like completely make broken builds right off the bat. They want people to figure out at least a little bit in the beginning. So
here,
side
we're
note there.
Use the Shadow Abyss set here, giving us crazy Shadow Form damage. We dominate the enemies. We make them unable to move. And
I'm going to be honest, the claw ability, I saw it and I was like, that looks really cool. There was a really other cool basic one that looks like a fucking hand cannon, like Iron Man or something.
Damage from this set, plus 25 damage reduction.
But I'm going to watch all these videos and see what they all say. Rob's a good resource, though.
And then on top of this, we have the Seed of Horazon here. This one gives us our Demonology skills, which our claws has the Demonology tag, right? So we have Demonology. And that thing is giving us multiplicative damage the more Wrath we have. And so that's why we stack a lot of Wrath This is similar to the Ramalaldi on the bar, for example. Like you just stack a lot of maximum resources, and that's going to give you a ton of damage. And if you also stack in dominance, it's also going to give you a ton of damage reduction, basically. On these charms, you can even get maximum resource as a roll, as well as abyss
Harash
or
Shadow.
demonology skills.
Hold on, what does that say? Set. Enemies with shadow form areas are dominated for up to 7 seconds, preventing them from acting and causing them to move where your target with recast skills. So you can recast it. Shadow form reduces damage taken by 25% and leaves sigil of subversion shadow trials. I don't know what that is. Behind you while moving. I'm assuming it's some kind of utility. Your abyss skill damage is increased by 350% while you have shadow form. So this is why the metamorphosis is gonna scale crazy. But each cast consumes 1 stack. Dominated enemies will take an additional 100 damage. Holy shit. It looks like in his mythic build he has the Ring of Starless, guys, but that's really great for resources. So Tybalt's Well. These are what's cool about these are common, like super common drops, both of these. Like I've seen so many of these, especially Tybalt's Will. I see this motherfucker all the time. Soulbrand, maybe not nearly as much, but this motherfucker all the time. Dude, this is crazy how it's gonna scale. All right, we'll let Rob finish.
So that's gonna be extremely powerful. Plus, we also use Soulbrand early on, because this is just gonna give us a ton of barrier, which is gonna unlock multiple new multipliers here with the consumer. One thing to note here, in this variant, we don't use a generator. Early on, you know, we have Doom on our bar. Doom generates resources. But later on, we really want to switch that Doom, you know, to have access to more DPS skills and stuff. So we have the Sentinel and the Sigil of Subversion. In the leveling build, you kind of need to choose either or. I usually go with the Sentinel and Subversion later, but we'll have to test that. So just keep in mind, guys, here you will be reliant on having Wrath Generation or Tybet's Will and this kind of stuff, right? So you just have like generation, for example, on your pants or on your boots. Even the uniques can roll Wrath Generation now. So that's going to be pretty important for you.
So if you can get Wrath Gen, got it.
If you can't do that, you can still play Doom early on. If you feel like you're lacking resources, definitely still recommend Doom. But I'm going to try to switch away from a generator playstyle as soon as possible, because we can also hex the enemies just fine with the Sigil of Subversion. You see here creates a ritual that hexes enemies, and usually we do this with Doom early on.
So that's what that is. That is insane then.
And I think that's just a better way of doing things, because we also get movement speed and shadow form at the same time. And then obviously we rock the Abyss, and here we have the full, you know, like end game planner. Again, we don't know exactly like what rune is going to be the best. Like they might both be good. Just wouldn't recommend the bottom one, but like these two look pretty potent. And you know, you can cast your claws around the Lalish demon, basically. So around the demon. You can see in this footage that we've looked at that he is casting them around. You see, this is like casting the demon, casting the claws additionally around his, I think it's his sentinel in this case. But he also has Lalish, as you can see down here. So yeah, Lalish is just...
Side sleeper snorers are switching
God, bro.
Instant snoring fix.
Most snoring advice focuses on...
Yeah, it's just rocking. And it's big DPS, it's blasting, and this is just like a cool, fun build to play, and tremendously, tremendously powerful here. So we'll see what all we're going to get here. And then when you transition into the ultra end game, and you get your mythics, we have this like crazy new...
Yeah, that new mythic is insane. Eldrin.
All skills, Ingium effect, perma cooldown. You're probably gonna have perma demon form, perma all the skills.
Yeah.
Perma neither step, just Ingium in D3, and we'll have to test this, of course. Again, I will keep updating the planner, guys, as the season progresses here. And obviously, we're gonna have the Starless guys for like crazy resource reduction, and then we can just
it's crazy for resources. Yeah.
But probably the biggest thing is like maybe you need to play Doom early on. Like we will see when we can make the switch. And the planners, guys, they will be keeping up to date as we progress through the game. I'll be live streaming. This is going to be my starter build. So I'm going to rock the Abyss. And this is also right now, obviously, this tier list, guys, is very much based on Copium and Hopium. I'll make a separate tier list video coming in a couple hours. But I think the Abyss Redclaw, like from what we've seen, is the most promising, aka the best build we know so far for this upcoming season. It's a true powerhouse. It's tremendously fun, guys. and you're gonna look damn cool while
Hell
doing
yeah.
so in the demon form here, casting all your class here. So we can see here there's another one here from the previous Muslim games. That this is from 4P, and just look at how beautiful this build.
I mean, it
is.
looks gnarly. I love that. Like,
Schnetzeling through the enemies, like blasting down everything, and just
looks gnarly, bro.
man, looking so cool while doing so. Like that, I'm really looking forward to all of this, guys. That looks like a ton of fun, and I can't wait, you know, to jump in and play some more on these fantastic builds here, man. Like the Warlock is just a true power.
All right, Rob. I like Rob. Rob's a good content creator. He always has the most insane builds on all of his stuff. I already have it. Where was it? I have his thing right here. I wonder if it's updated. Let's see. Probably is. Okay, he might be just updating it. It might be swamped right now. Okay, it's there though. All right, and this one is from Rage Gaming. See what he says.
Welcome back to Rage Gaming, and very soon, Lord of Hatred, a second expansion for Diablo. Hello, and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and very soon, Lord of Hatred, a second expansion for Diablo 4. Now, endgame systems are changing. You got entirely new skill trees for everyone, a new power system with the talismans and the charms, and so on. Yet we're pretty in the dark about a lot of things. You know, there's no PTR, and actually the pre-release was only a small group of press. They were given clear restrictions on what they could even show, so we've only seen bits and pieces rather than a complete picture like last time. Now, I'm going to try to talk about each class and how it's looking in Season 13. We'll consider what we can and make our best guesses, but do take this with a grain of salt. Some classes have a lot more to work with than others. So we'll start from the top with what we got the most of and work our way down. To kick off then, of course, it's the new class, the Warlock. Straight to the point, the Warlock is expected to be the strongest class of the expansion release. Even if we knew nothing about it, they made Spiritborn so stupidly strong at its launch, and then Paladin the same thing. So we expect the same with Warlock. Now Warlock is the only class we saw in pre-release, at least that version they played, to actually go to Torment 12 and kill big bosses like Bilal. The build in question was tied to Dread Claws, the skill. It fires these Shadow Claws out in different directions. And then you got one passive upgrade that would increase the damage it does by double, just in the skill tree. There's another there that increases the damage massively based on first hit, or if you use it from stealth, which is something Warlock can engage with. Comically, the upgrades like Cascading Dread has it send extra
That seems
claws
insane.
every use, increasing each sets of claws damage.
Yeah,
by
Dread.
30%
Okay, so
damage.
everybody's
Again,
he's
just
talking
in
about
the
Dread
skill
Claw.
tree,
All right.
big multipliers. Things like Litany of Sable, you could increase the Dread Claw damage specifically, all under reliable vulnerability. Thanks to the Profane Sentinel skill, a grade to Demon Summon that will spawn a beam that applies vulnerable, but a simple upgrade for that also makes lesser demon skills also apply vulnerable.
Yeah,
so you're
Sentinel.
not just relying on the beam, so we expect that skill and upgrade combo to be pretty popular. So that's a tried and tested build to do most everything in the season, at least a Torment 12, and no doubt great for leveling with it all being in the skill tree. But that's not it for Warlock. There's two other concepts that look really good, a lot of people talking about. One would be the build around Hell Fracture, a skill that summons fire to fracture the ground. It lasts 15 seconds, and you can explode it twice by casting the skill again. Why that's interesting is because of a unique tied to it. The Spine of Tathamet provides extra levels to Hell Fracture, which is great, but the effect is the big deal here, increasing Hell Fracture damage by more than double, and every third cast is a triple fracture, so there's huge burst potential there. Combine that concept with the Ritualist Soul Shard for overpower, and then either the Fragment that lets you consume Hex stacks for echoing damage, or Scorching Fragment for stacking volatility, depending on which has more scaling power potential when we try it. There's lots to play around with. But not just that, there's one very questionable thing with the Rampage skill and its damage numbers. Rampage is a skill that summons a greater demon summon, deals damage with a chance to eviscerate, that does bleed damage. But from the review build, we saw a tooltip that had nearly 1,300 weapon percent damage, and that was just one level of the skill. Obviously you can get a lot higher than that, so maybe that won't make it to release, but we're keeping an eye on it. The upgrade, Elite Eviscerate, makes it guaranteed against elites not currently eviscerated, and there's another upgrade, Shockwave, that causes it to do a second smash forward, getting you those extra Evis proc chances. This
Dang.
will need some management though, since it costs a lot of dominance to summon these demons, but if it works as described, there's a lot of potential there too.
It could be a
So,
bursty
right there,
one-shot type
three
thing.
logically fantastic builds with a ton of damage potential. unique playstyles between them, which is going to be great. That's just the theory. But it's all backed up by the reasonable logic now that with how Blizzard do things with new class releases,
They're broken. They're all broken.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
they're all
behind that, we
broken.
have the other still very
Paladin,
advanced
I mean,
a
those
whole
2
new
seasons were
roster
just
scheme
insane
last
with
season
Paladin.
with a variety of top builds to choose between. Hamadin, Oradin, and Arbiter with focus on, wing strike damage. They were all really good and relative top builds of the season. It's just the Thorn pulsing shield throw setup where you're reflecting damage and hyper scaling the Thorn's damage. It was busted. Now, with that in mind, naturally, they've nerfed it. For that Thorns build, then, there's the unique shield, Ward of the White Dove, which would increase the shield damage directly. It would be a multiplier that would go up to a top percent of 177. Its max roll is now 77%, not 177. That's a major nerf. Other stuff like the skill tree being changed, it looks like Thorns and Thistles might not be there, or at very least be nerfed. The passive there would give us multipliers of Thorns and increase the Thorn damage also by a multiplier. So just cutting to the chase, it makes complete sense for them to nerf the best build of the season. They want Paladins to play something else. However, there's still plenty of potential that will be a top build, especially with tough content.
I mean, Oradin is still insane.
But what about your overall best options? Well, Paladins have access to a ridiculous set bonus via the charms coming in.
Yeah, that one's insane. The 5 set.
The 5-piece
Yeah.
will trigger all ultimates at once
That's
when
insane.
you use Arbiter. That also results in 500% times increased damage with all Disciple skills while Arbiter is going. So it considers all those ultimates you're triggering, Disciple skills, and so we're going to want to heavily engage with that with a lot of the top builds.
Yeah.
The obvious choice here would be Hamadin, where you make the Blessed Hammer a Disciple skill for that bonus, but also obviously run other Disciple skills. Condemn, Falling Star, buff it up with Familiar Auras and Consecration, then using Disciple as your passive, you maintain Arbiter form as much as you can. Technically there is a relevant nerf to this concept. Argent Veil, a unique ring, it would give core skills 40 to 60% times more damage, so your hammer, but now that's down to 5 to 15% times. It's a big drop, but in exchange, you're getting that ridiculous charm set bonus, 500% times increased disciple damage, so that will be the hammer. You kind of walk that downside back a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Counts out other builds like Oradin and the Wing Strikes build. Oradin hasn't really been hit. The fact that we can put, 15 levels in aura skills is going to be a big deal. There's potential with better slot efficiency with the fact that you can get a unique charm for Sundered Knight instead of
Damn.
a two-hand. And, Wing Strikes did get hit in a few ways nerf-wise, but it's still in the running. I think we have a pretty strong position here. 4 obvious builds with potential, a lot of them nerfed in some way, in exchange for ridiculous additions of different power and multipliers, like compensation nerfs. Will it compete with the clearly insane Warlock? Maybe not.
Probably
I
not.
think Soul is very
The new
likely.
class is always
Variety
broken
of
as
builds
fuck.
to choose from. That's good.
Yeah.
Next up then, we'll get into the older classes where things are a bit less clear, starting with Sorcerer with input from our Sorcerer main Josh. He tells me that Sorcerer is going to be looking at burning builds in Season 13.
Ooh. I've always wanted there to be like a really good burning build. There was one, I forgot what
And
season.
then also there's a new one, Drogman's Anguish. Between just those two, you get a combined 550% multiplier on burning, which should be pretty ridiculous. That's not counting all the other burning and fire multipliers of sorcerers, which is a lot, so there's a lot of exciting potential here. The issue is that it's not
Oh, it was a
just
Hydra
something you
build.
get for free.
I remember
Using
that I
those
did.
two
It was a
units,
Hydra burning
you're gonna
build.
be
That's
tanking
right.
both your mana and your health to do it. So there's a big management thing to play. Fueling both elf and mana to fund that crazy output potential is not the name of the game there. You'll need some serious game to properly counter and manage it. How far can it be pushed though? There is big power if it can be managed the whole way. In the meantime then, you'll probably transition from a leveling version, maybe using the new Fire Frozen Orb stuff, or just classic Flame Wall, into a more mid-game burning setup. That seems like sensible progression. Outside of that, it's awesome Sorcerer finally has some play with Overpower. Meteor with the Meteor Helm unique is buff for that concept. The vibes are very positive for Sorcerer in general, just you've got those uncertainties to think about. It does seem like enchantments still exist, but they don't seem like they're being reworked, which is a bit disappointing as far as we know anyway. But there are interesting stuff like making fire spells shock or shock into ice. It's kind of a whole new world to play with.
That's
how
cool.
element scaling can
Sork's
work.
my
Not
favorite.
to mention, a lot of these uniques being decent to very strong is exciting for testing. So there's reasonable hope that Sorcerer could challenge, say, Paladin's spot for second place. It's just a question of how far can you min-max burning. Right, next up then we have Druid. The first thing to think about here will be the skill tree changes.
Yeah, that's
which
cool.
is definitely impacting this class. You can choose between wolf, human, and bear form versions of your skills via the paths. So their example was trample, the bear dashing forward in a familiar line, but then you could have the wolf leap and slam for the same effect, just basically applied in a different way. I think with that, there's a good chance that trample's on the menu, with them highlighting that concept. But then you look at the unique, Insatiable Fury. This seems more likely. After casting Trample, you may cast Trample again without incurring the cooldown. Plus, you increase trample damage by.
So you can just be trampling around. Just.
It's a great way to scale its damage.
Whoa.
That seems awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I just went, oh.
Purified Lightbringer is the thing compared to the Rotting version.
What?
The Rotting version gives you Pulverize, scaling the damage through Poison and Overpower.
Damn.
Those puddles everywhere. The Purified version simply deals bonus damage and doubles that bonus if the
Sheesh.
target is unstoppable or a boss. Great for
Pulverize is a
target
cool build.
death.
I like that build
Since
too.
both are weapon slots, then you might net the poison and overpower through other methods, like maybe.
I might be playing a lot of
Now,
different
with the
classes
Rotting version
with
on
Diablo
tap,
4 this
full
season.
double dip.
Because
Earthen
it's a
Bulwark
lot of
works
updates to
pretty bad.
stuff.
There's these step walkers that provide the Earthen Shrapnel for free.
I'm definitely going to be playing Sork. I probably won't play Paladin just because I already played Paladin a couple of seasons. I'll probably go through everything else though.
Claw gains all variants and gains up to 40
Woo!
times bonus damage. So you
Whoa.
usually pick one of 3 variants of an upgrade.
Yeah.
to your skill. Well, now in this case with the staff, you
all
get
variants.
3 at once.
Damn.
With other combos like Lightning Claw and Viper Strikes, you can basically juice up the claw with lots of options, scale those damage types heavily. Plus, plenty of people are excited about the silliness of the Bear Companion.
Yeah.
There's this charm set that summons a Bear Companion when you have at least 2 set. It roars for a damage buff for you and the party. It's a 60% times increase for 10 seconds. That's great. At the 3 set, it splits the damage between you and the bear and debuffs enemies for great survivability. And the 5 set is a second bear. And also, 1 more of all companion types. Not to mention, all companion side upgrades will be given to you for free, which is hilarious, maybe for the idea of a companion build.
Yeah.
With these, and quite a few other uniques, quite a lot has changed with aspects and key passes being slapped onto them. To me, it suggests a lot of different build options at a base level, but the big question is, how potent and powerful are they? The skills getting the free versions based on what you're building with the form, that's cool, but again, how strong? So I would say the vibes are good, expected power is hard to gauge, but the future of Druid, this was like a really nice foundation to build on.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings me now to the old Necromancer. For our second expansion of Diablo 4, we're getting this new awesome concept that I don't think a single Necromancer player's ever thought of or even directly requested. The idea of direct control over your minions. A variety of ways to power them up, resulting in multiple kinds of minion builds. It's this new idea of a Necromancer. Now, sarcasm aside, it is good to see some major improvements to the class concept that is a Necromancer at long last. So for one thing, you got the Book of the Dead sacrifice bonuses. Interestingly, they're going to let you keep active minions even when you got a sacrifice going. There is a downside where you've got like fewer minions and a golem does less damage during sacrifices, but you can at least have them for utility, like Blood Golem sacrificing some of its health so you take less damage. That's still useful. Then you also still have the Necromancer feel to your character, even if you're more spellcaster focused or something. Then the skill tree is obviously a big deal. Their examples will say the Mages, which is now a core skill as a summon instead of part of a one summon button. You spend essence to summon them now, but then they stick around forever, unless you upgrade them into, say, the Super Mage that consumes all your essence to spawn one big one, lasting longer and is stronger based on how much essence you actually gave up, which is neat. Or the Warriors are more of a passive spawn, that as you go by corpses, just jump up. Then the active part is direct control, having them attack the target of your choice. I mean, about time. We see other amazing encouragement from minion concepts, like, say, 20 warriors and 8 mages all summoned at the same time in some footage, with the Undercrown unique, basically increasing the cap of your warriors and mages in a big way. And it even helps you keep their DPS to the correct target, which again is very important. This is because it makes endgame content a lot more possible for a summoner necromancer. There's a problem where there's an elite or something you need to focus. Minion necromancers had a hard time with that, because you could do like a golem slam and then just hope that it attacks the right target. Good luck if you were using mages or warriors. Think about the unique Ring Mendel, the explosions that were triggered on minion attacks. With the new high minion count potential, a lot of those explosives being focused on one target could be really potent.
Could be
Obviously,
crazy.
That's a helmet, and you won't want to give up that slot with the whole Mythic Unique Erudition, which for some reason was even buffed. But obviously, there's the new unique charm system where you can take a unique effect, put it in a charm slot, so you can save that slot there. What's exciting here is how Golem builds remain strong from before then. You've got new mage focused up with a classic Shadow build, and then you have all these warriors and general minion count now to sort of blast a target. Fun variety of a summoner. Wow. So certainly some build potential and variety to consider.
That's cool.
I just hope the warriors prove strong. An army of minions definitely appeals, and I think they should facilitate that this time around. But obviously, with what information we have, it's still hard to gauge how strong will it be. Next up then we have Barbarian, returning to its roots with some serious potential around Whirlwind. Barb had a lot of its skill trees fleshed out from information via the press, so it's at least one you could look a bit more at. There was specific hope for Whirlwind though, after the lead system designer said in an interview with Rob2628, the class team has worked very hard to make Spin to Win Barb a very viable playstyle, so I think they want us to try it, or they're encouraging it heavily at least. When you look at the skill tree, you can see its passive upgrades like cost damage bonus, increasing Whirlwind damage in exchange for increased Fury cost, channel damage bonus, while channeling Whirlwind,
And 25%.
multiplier up to 25% times. With then the big one at the end with the variants, Winding, building up stacks by using a different skill, then spending those stacks on Whirlwind to increase its damage and movement speed. At the same time, it's also going to spew out Shrapnel, dealing damage but also causing damage over time via Bleed. So you can encourage Whirlwind as a different damage source with damage over time. With Barbarians able to hold up to 4 weapons, Grandfather as a consistent pick is even better.
Grandpapa.
To have 150% critical strike damage, raising the reward for using it.
That's
Speaking
crazy.
of Mythic Uniques, there's also that new Mythic weapon,
That thing is gonna be
Eldraine,
insane.
a one-handed sword that hilariously reduces skill cooldowns by 10 seconds or 12 seconds after defeating elite packs. So, using that, you'll be able to use other skills like your shouts a lot more constantly, which should fuel the winding skill variant we just mentioned. Not
Yeah.
to mention the affixes on the weapon, all damage is a multiplier, and +4 to all skills. That's insane. Some
Insane.
interesting stuff for the ultimate Wrath of the Berserker, which could be greatly helped by that new Mythic Unique Sword. One of the variant changes would grant you a fire aura during the Wrath period, applying burns. Again, damage over time as another damage source to synergize with Winding, as well as the insane overpower passes that exist there, granting 1 stack of overpower per second while Wrath is going, so that's a different source of overpower. It's important to note that overpower should work with Whirlwind now, as it is a buff that stacks up.
Nice.
So yes, there's a lot of focus on Whirlwind here, sure.
Mods was
Doesn't
talking
mean
about that.
Barbarian
He's
still
like,
doesn't have great
Barb
potential.
potentially
There's
looks
other
insane
changes.
also this
There are
season.
other classic builds like Hammer of the Ancients, and they did highlight some other stuff with Ancestral Summons and Lunge, so I think Barb has some extreme power potential in the upcoming season. Moving on then, we now have the Rogue, which is pretty uncertain, even within the Rogue community right now, partly because of the lack of complete information, partly because the stream highlights for Rogue showed a lot of cool concepts, but nothing that felt like concrete in power, at least not to me, though there is obviously potential, like the awesome details of Dance of Knives, that now being a core skill.
Yeah, that's
Now,
cool.
new variant options exist like Grenade Jumper to turn those knives into an AoE of grenades. Now there's lots of ways to scale the damage of a grenade tag. If you look at the new Saboteur's Signet unique, they've changed
Damn.
that to increase grenade size by 50% and deal almost double damage as a multiplier.
Yeah.
This will either be vulnerable or weakened, which is pretty nice. There's crazy aspects of the kit being updated, like the clones in new ways, say Shadow Shot variant for penetrating shots.
That's pretty
that
cool.
Spawns 2 clones that perform the same shot from different locations. That's cool. Or the Sentry. So you got Shadow clones now spawning up to 3 clones that you pop down like a turret, and then they fire piercing shots, with the skill itself now being tagged as a marksman type. So it's clear they want to break up that.
Yeah, that looks fun.
When we look at some of the
I always
changes
love
for the
turret
uniques,
classes.
we see some really crazy imbuement
I mean,
sort of
Hydras.
suggestions. Bands of Icarus Rose, the gloves now have a % chance to spawn poison traps when you use poison or cold imbued skills. Or Cowl of the Nameless. Its now imbued skills have a chance to pop an explosion, dealing 75% of the damage dealt, but applying
Damn.
a said imbuement effect with over double potency to enemies affected. So there are some cool concepts here. The fun of clones having new mechanics to use, the range build encouragement, a shake up for the core skills in general, which have been long overdue some relevance in Rogue meta. Imbuements should play a major role in Rogue builds across the board though, whatever one ends up dominant. Right now to me, it feels like a lot of cool, almost crazy ideas, but it is really hard to tell if they're going to land in a top position.
Yeah, the powers of them.
But we have right now. Hopefully it turns
Or
out
the
to
power
be a good
scale.
shake up the class, though. I think it needs it. I just hope it has power to back it up.
You have never tried popcorn like this before. 6 years ago, we asked a question. Is it possible to make movies?
Lastly, that brings us to Spiritborn, though. This is a strange one. There's very little to consider for Spiritborn with public information. Like, it seemed like a lot of the press just didn't play it. We've got 4 new uniques to consider, 2 updated old ones. That's cool, but it's a lot less than everyone else has to look at. On the bright side, there is interest in the new Echo of Quatley unique amulet. Basically, it's a double damage multiplier to vulnerable enemies, and you even heal from attacking each one.
Damn, it gives you vigor?
Adding vigor too, but it cleanses the vulnerable. So I guess you're cycling that vulnerability on and off, popping and triggering that heal and the vigor via constant on-hit burst. There's a lot of potential across lots of builds with that.
Yeah.
The stream highlight stuff, they showcased a couple of skill updates, like Crackling Earth. Stomp becomes an eagle skill, dealing lightning damage. It then electrifies the ground, causing enemies to sort of spawn storm feathers when affected. This makes us think of Evade Spiritborn with new ways to generate feathers. But what are they doing? Well, then they showed us aspect of falling feathers, so using mobility skills or evades spawn storm feathers also. And then these storm feathers drop from the sky as they're spawned. This deals lightning damage on impact, basically synergizing with that variant upgrade. Consider that with a new unique ring, God's Blessing. Close enemies affected by lightning damage have a chance to grant resolve, sure, but importantly, it deals up to 300% times increased damage.
That's crazy.
As a major damage scaler there. Very clearly, they put basically lightning and evade spam Spiritborn in our face.
Yeah.
So it seems likely to be a good build. If not, there's still the classics of Payback with Thorns, which has been extremely strong for endgame and in general pushing pits as far as possible. Perhaps in the extreme endgame, that'll still be relevant for the most challenging content. But like I said, Spiritborn had a lot less to go on, but at least with those highlights, we can expect the evade build to be back in full force. And
The evade build
that's
was
a
cool.
good starting point.
Just zipping around
Yeah,
the
that brings us to the
field.
end. In basic recap, it's commonly thought that Warlock will be king of Season 13.
Probably.
The new class, that's just how they do it. But on top of that, the 3 sides of it all look insane. Paladin still has a ton of potential though, even with some clear nerfs going on. That 500% times damage charm set bonus just outweighs a lot. Just hopefully variety and something fresh lands this time, and I do think it will. While the other classes, they have their own varied potential, some excitement for say Whirlwind for Bob, Sork having a lot to play with new element interactions. It's just unclear who's going to claim the top spot amongst them, if any is going to take second place of a Paladin. There's a lot to test, so obviously we'll cover it all with the release, so get ready for that. Until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the video.
That was pretty good. What do we got? Oh, we got Rax. Yeah. He just posted this too.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. I have a very fun video for you today. The D4 expansion launches later today, actually. We're going to cover that in a second. A lot of people don't know what the actual start time of D4 is. So I'm
Yeah,
explain some
it's
things
going to
there.
be in
We're
what?
going to talk about everything with the expansion. We're going to talk about
10 hours for me?
tricks for it that you might not know. We're going to talk about the Warlock. We're going to talk about the Paladin. We're going to talk about build guides. That's enough yapping. I mean, let's just get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is, when does the game actually launch? A lot of people don't know this. So because it says April 28th, well, it launches on April 28th in the morning if you're over here, if you're an EU boy, or over here on the other side of the world. But for all of us over here, it actually launches on the 27th, which is, I mean, today. It's launching a few hours after this video comes out. So it's launching at 4 Pacific on Monday. So that's something to be aware of. Another thing, a lot of people don't know this. It launches at 4 Pacific, but the actual season doesn't start for 30 minutes later. So actually, for most people, it actually doesn't start until 4:30 Pacific. Like if you're an EU boy, if you're trying to like sleep as long as possible and then get up at 1 a.m. or something, it's actually be 1:30. And the reason why they're delaying the season for 30 minutes, I believe, is because of Steam and how Steam preloads things. So it's actually not until 4:30 tomorrow. Well, as of this video, it'd be today. So that's the launch of when it's actually coming out. Another thing is, The season doesn't have any actual specific mechanics to it. There's no seasonal mechanic, there's no seasonal lore, there's no seasonal boss, there's no seasonal gameplay, but I do believe it has like a rank up reputation or board. It will progress you through the season journey, which just got upgraded. Now it has 2 new tiers to chew through. But the season doesn't have anything specific with it. But because it is going to give you a bunch of different things in the season journey, it's way better to make a character on season than not. So if you're wondering, well, why don't I just make it on non-season? I don't want to start 30 minutes later. It's worth it. So you do want to make a seasonal character. So I wanted to cover that. Now,
So I have until
let's
6:30.
talk about builds. So let's talk about Paladin first, and then we're going to talk about Warlock. So for Paladin, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. For Paladin, I have been leveling Paladins all week long. I've made...
It takes 90 seconds for this NASA-engineered AC cool down your room. It's smaller than a...
like 4 or 5 of them. Here's 1, 2, 3 of them, and I deleted some of them. And believe it or not, I've tried hammers. I've tried the Wing Paladin, which is very powerful. Makuna recommended that to me. You guys know Makuna, good friend of mine. I tried Wing Paladin. I tried Hammerdin. I tried Shield Throw. And my brother was also leveling a bunch of different builds where he's going to help me write the guides. And he previously wrote many guides from Actual. He's a good player. He knows things. And both of us concluded that the best leveling build is Thorns. And that might shock you. You might be like, Thorns? Thorns is a meme build. There ain't no way I'm playing Thorns over Hammerdin or something. Really? I mean, have you tried it? So let me show you Thorns for 2 seconds here. Thorns has everything. Mega damage, mega defense, unimaginable single target. Like the highest I've seen in a leveling build for anything. Let me make one thing very clear. A lot of times this is confusing. When I say leveling build, I mean leveling up 1 to 70. And when you're leveling up 1 to 70 and you have different gear, the rule that I have is I use absolutely nothing. And I mean nothing. I don't have any tempers on this guy. I don't have any re-rolled stats. I don't have any targeted legendary powers. I don't have any uniques. I don't have anything socketed in my gear. Nothing. So my question that I'm always asking is, what is the strongest thing that you can do with nothing? And that's important. The reason why it's important is because the whole goal is to get to 70. If you're spending a ton of time sitting in town, re-rolling every single leveling thing that you get, that's a waste of time. You want to save your mats for when you actually get good stuff at the end. So this guy has got nothing. This is the hardest difficulty, leveling difficulty, Penitent. Let's go try this event here. And let's see how the Helltide Commander does when he comes out. Let's see how long he can last. That's what she said. So, again, this character literally has nothing. I'm just living off the land here. And you can see that they can't kill me. And I pretty much one-shot them with everything. Out of everything that I have tried, hammers, shield throw, which we are using shield throw, but we're doing the thorny shield throw here. This has been the best build. Never challenged, always win. Look at this, look at me versus Elite, dead instantly. They can't do anything. I have a full guide already built for this setup. And the problem is everything is changing. Here's a Hellborn. Oh, that Hellborn hit me really hard. Holy cow, that was good. Oh, more Hellborn? Okay. You guys want to go? Damn, something almost killed me. These Hellborn are crazy. So I have a built, but the problem is everything, the whole skill tree is changing, and we don't quite, Mobalytics hasn't fully data mined it yet. So the idea of the build should still work, and I'm hoping it's as powerful as it's as powerful when the expansion launches as it is now. But I just want to spawn this Helltide Commander, and I want to talk about, and it's almost impossible for me to build correctly because I just haven't played it, and I don't know exactly what's coming. But again, by the end of the first day, this build guide will be hopefully fully written, and hopefully I'll be pretty far into Torment and knowing what works. So let me talk to you for a moment generically. People keep asking me this question, Rax, how do you go about making a build? Like, what's your even process for even, how would you come up with a Warlock build that does something? And then I'll tell you what I'm almost certain is going to fry for the Warlock. So when I look at the Warlock here about how I would even make a build, what I'm looking at is in the skill tree, is there anything that stands out to me that seems particularly powerful to make a build around? And so the thing that I think seems outrageously strong, which is from what I've heard of, like almost all content creators or build guide crafters are looking at this, is from Metamorphosis. And really, it comes from the upgrade over here where you have two choices. Read the first line of this upgrade. Metamorphosis adds its ranks to Hellfire skills. Okay, so what that means is if I upgrade this 15 times, my Hellfire skills up here are going to go up all plus 15. Like, when you click on a different skill, like they do different things, but historically, I think clicking on a skill has increased its damage somewhere between like 5 and 10%. So just imagine that you have 3 or 4 Hellfire skills, and by clicking this node, you give 15 levels to all of them.
That's insane. Yeah.
So I think this is too strong to ignore. So that's like the first process about how I'm making a build is there something here that seems crazy good? Of course, you can do the exact same thing right here for Abyss skills. So now I really have the option. Do I go Metamorphosis Hellfire, or do I go Metamorphosis?
So apparently this is the thinnest, most durable phone case ever. And it's only
Abyss. So then the second thing about making a build is, what is my build exactly trying to do? We just covered it twice, right? I'm making first, of course, a leveling build, which means that you have pretty much nothing. So I don't really care what the most powerful thing could be based upon the uniques and the legendary powers and the glyphs, whatever, and the tempers, everything. I care about what looks really good for just frying. And then another thing to consider is, since we're going with Metamorphosis, this is pretty far down in the tree. I've heard different things. I've heard we unlock this part of the tree at level 19. I've also heard we unlock it at 40, but all of that doesn't matter because Blizzard could change it. Tomorrow they might have a new patch and it could be different. We could have a new patch and these two upgrades could be dead. I have no idea. But we also have to figure out what would be strong while we're leveling up. So the thing we usually do is we go to our core skills, and a lot of them look pretty good. The Hell Fracture makes a bunch of fissures on the ground. Looks like a cool core skill. We could just essentially, kind of like Volcanic Fissure of snacking. Remember in PoE 1, the people love that build? It would be kind of like that. Kind of like Chthonic Fissure in Last Epoch. People love that build. There's Dreadclaw. Dreadclaw looks very good, and we could do this with the Abyss setup. There's also Blazing Scream. This looks really good. Like, for example, you can have it orbit around you. It's kind of like playing a Hammerden, maybe, as a Warlock. So we just got to pick one. We got to pick one and try it, read through. All three of these seem...
What?
Do you want tea?
Yes, please.
You bitch.
Thank you.
Pretty good to me. Believe it or not, the generator that I thought looked most interesting to me was this one. The Molten Bomb, and it summons turret demons.
What?
This to me could be like Kinetic Fusillade for PoE 1. People love that build. I love that build.
I love a turret build.
I wanted to make a Hellfire turret build. That would be sick. Again, this is going to give me 15 levels for Hellfire for my turrets. But the reason why I think I might go Doom and the Doom setup, or at least try it in the beginning, is because it has incredible synergy with the Warlock class power. So the occult skills do increase damage, and I believe overpower is changing again. We're going to get stacks of overpower, so different multipliers for occult damage. But also here, occult Hellfire skills gain 1 stack of hex on the target to increase its damage by 25%. Then we also have to find a way to get vulnerable. We can get vulnerable from our follower, and we can take Subo to get our map hack and stuff. And Aldkin can use this to help keep us alive. So eventually all these pieces are starting to come together into what could be a Hellfire-based build where I get the Hex. Again, I'm trying to get the Hex without doing anything tricky, without getting it from a legendary aspect or a unique or some crazy thing that I can't do in a leveling build where I'm just running forward. Of course, in the end game, there's going to be all these different factors where how do we get the Hex for free? How do we get the vulnerable for free? And then now we start to look at what's the highest damage multiplier of all these and what's the quality of life. But essentially, what I'm telling you for the build tomorrow is I think the way that you approach leveling a Warlock is you make a decision. When you're leveling up, try Hell Fracture for a bit. Maybe you can try it with the different lava fissures. Try the Dread Claws. Again, look for damage multipliers. See how they feel to you. Try the Blazing Scream and see, maybe try the Orbiting around you. See which of them feels good for you to use. Whichever one you decide feels good, at that point, when you get down to Metamorphosis, just click the upgrade that corresponds with which one you like. Did you like the Hellfire one, or did you like the Abyss one? Then from there, you can add different things, like you can add Nether Step for movement. You can get Rampage, and you can turn that into another movement ability. I took 2 movement abilities. And then you can take a Sigil for more extra damage.
I still like Rob's better because it actually has every single point in how you're going to do it. So unless Rex
That's the basic outline of looking at it for a few days. What I think will work very well. So again, the basic idea is we're making this build around Metamorphosis. We're making it around the fact that it gives us, when we click this button, it's going to give us synergies to all the other skills if they have
the problem is keeping Metamorphosis up, though.
Whichever skill you pick, make sure that it synergizes with the Soul Shard.
Probably still going to do Rob's.
From your class mechanic. Make sure you pick the appropriate one for whatever you're doing. And then with leveling, I always advise, don't really worry too much about this stuff. Don't worry about re-rolling and da-da-da-da-da. You see a new thing, it's got green toughness, green damage. Throw it on, walk forward. We're trying to get to the end game. We've got 12 Torment tiers to chew through. We got Uber Mephisto waiting for us.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to start saving up our resources and start spending it in there. And you might also need the resources to spend on the cube. I don't know if the cube recipes cost.
That's true.
But it's probably not going to be free. So we need our resources for that, for the really nice end game gear as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on Warlock. I'm going to be playing Warlock straight out of the gate. I'm going to try all 3 of these. I'm going to try Dreadclaw, and I'm going to try Blazing Scream, and I'm going to try Hell Fracture. See which one's the best. Pick the right Metamorphosis. See how it goes all the way to 70. Can I play Impenitent or not? Do I need both of these jumpy things or not? Yada, yada, yada. And then hopefully by the end of the first day, I should be extremely powerful and have figured out something really, really good. And then I'll have it fully updated for you. I think our plan is to release these guides, like kind of as they are. We're going to work on them by the time that this video actually comes out. But they're going to be kind of incomplete because the information is incomplete. We don't know what's coming fully tomorrow. But once the data mining is done and once we figured it out, you can expect these guides to be updated immediately between myself and my brother. And I will post a follow.
All right, Rex. Give you a like, buddy. Did I get this knight? Okay, I get this guy I like too. Alright, and then
Warlock is incredible, especially Legion Bombardment Warlock, throwing demons at your opponent and then even more demons. In today's video, we're going to go over every single skill that we're using, how they exactly look and what their variations do, plus uniques and aspects you're going to look for to fly all the way to Torment 12. Welcome to Legion Summoner Warlock, the most fun you'll have with a Warlock. First, we need to create a Wrath with a base skill, and that's where Command Fallen comes in. Summon a Fallen Lunatic that charges your target and explodes, dealing 80% damage. In its base form, you're simply going to yeet these Fallen forward that then explode. On the top, you can choose Wrath. Commanding Fallen generates 1 additional Wrath for every demon or enemy you have killed in the last 2 seconds, up to additionally 5 Wrath. Alternative, we could increase the damage, but it's our generator. We want it to generate as much as possible. At the bottom, every 15 times you hit enemies with Command Fallen, you gain 1 Dominance. Dominance is your second resource. You get every second 1 Dominance, up to 30, unless you have an aspect for more. So getting more Dominance is always wanted, as this will summon our ulti and other supportive skills. Here again, we could have it do increased damage, but that's not required. Then we can choose between Mega Lunatic, Meat Shields, and Fallen Rush. Mega Lunatics turns our Command Fallen into 1 big boom, giving it 136% bonus damage, and then 3 smaller Lunatics that can explode and hurt as well. Opposed to that, we have Meat Shields. Every 1 second Command Fallen passively creates these Lunatics around you that then explode on contact. You can still spam the skill button to get more of them out. Lastly, with Fallen Army, you're creating these shadowy Lunatics that go forward, slice and dice, and each hit of them actually gives you 10 Wrath. For the first 20 to 30 levels, I would probably go with a Mega Lunatic, as that has your basic skill just do the most damage. However, we want to automatize our Wrath gain down the line and not care about actually casting these. And that's where the Meat Shield...
hold on, chat. I'll be right back.
I was picking the Josie hairs out of my mouse. I picked one and then it like kept coming, and so I've just been picking them out because my mouse was acting weird.
I told you mine was. I had to order a new one.
They were in here.
Yeah. Oh, so was it reading correctly?
Yeah.
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 Did you do time?
Yes. Let him be right there. That's an okay spot.
That's gum if you want.
We'll see if this chai works or not, or if it's gonna hurt my stomach. Because I read that black tea can also hurt your stomach. That's what chai is.
I wonder if that gum would hurt your stomach, because it's not acidic or anything, right?
Yeah, but I like to drink coffee, so it's not just. But that's not just what I want.
Made some tea chat. All right, we're back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run Dreadclaw for the season, but
they automatically get respawned the whole time, and you simply have to waltz into the opponents. Vram, you're instantly getting yourself Wrath, and then more Wrath, and then more Wrath, which allows us to spam our main skill. That would be Bombardment. Smash down 4 demons into the ground, each dealing 40% damage. 40% doesn't sound like a lot, but hell, you're shooting 4 in its first version. This is how it looks like. You summon a portal on top of your head, and then boom, demons are flying out. They do have some chaotic spread happening. The further you pretty much throw them, the more spread happens. On the top, you can increase their damage, or we add another demon, and we definitely want to add that bonus 1 demon. And at the bottom, we have Telekinesis. Each time Bombardment throws a demon, it has a 35% chance to also throw a surrounding enemy or lesser demon at your target location. Not really worth it. Better focus target. Bombardment's chaotic spread is reduced, and it deals 30% increased damage when only hitting a single enemy.
Ah, that's huge for bursting.
Better to actually hit where you want it to hit, and against bosses. The 3 choices are Brutality, Demon Mangler, and Endless Barrage. Brutality being the absolute S tier choice. Each cast of Bombardment within 3 seconds of the last calls down more demons up to 4, which means if we now spam the skill, more and more demons are coming out like crazy. 9 in total. This will get very important down the line with how the build works. Mangled Demons is Demon Mangler straight shit in comparison. You have a chance of 40% to summon small mutilated demons on impact. Those are these tiny dudes doing minuscule damage. What is that compared to 9 demons smashing down? Whereas the third variation is actually really interesting. With Endless Barrage, Bombardment becomes a Hellfire skill and now only summons demons randomly around you. You can stack it up to 5 times, having this demonic rain happening. Very amazing. Our goal will be, though, to launch as many demons as we can. Optimally, you would create as much wrath over aspects, your tempers, and the lunatics that are rotating around you with meat shields, that we, in a boss fight, could just unleash the bombardment, machine gun chain style, 9 demons, 9 demons, 9 demons, 9 demons. And that becomes very important with our Legion Shard, because the Legion Shard says, when 50 demons die, your next greater demon skill cast has no dominance cost.
Dang.
Our ultimate for free, or to use Rampage, or the Tortured Wretch. On top, casting a greater demon skill, which would be the 3 we just mentioned, we would reduce the cooldown of our skills and increase their cast speed by 25%. Ergos.
I mean, I might play this. I don't know.
Kill demons, your 9999. Then be able to summon that Tortured Wretch and or the Rampage for free to keep spamming even faster. And this brings us to our Tortured Wretch as a defensive skill, but as a really hardcore defensive skill that hurts. Tortured Wretch summons this dude on top of the enemy that taunts everyone around him, and he does a little bit of damage. This will cost your second resource, Dominance, so you can't just spam him away. On top, we can have him give us Unstoppable, or if we want to, we could reduce the cost that it now is less dominance to summon. Probably Unstoppable is here the better choice, especially if we would then play T-Bald's Will. Summoning the Tortured Wretch would grant us 100 resource over and over again, making sure that we can spam Bombardment as much as possible.
That's a good point.
For the bottom 2 choices, we have Enrage. When enemies attack the Wretch, they are enraged for 2 seconds, gaining more attack speed, but taking more damage when they hit targets. The more interesting one is Duration. Enemies and demons killed close to the Wretch extend its duration by 0.5 seconds up to 5. Now, why is that interesting? Because I'm going to summon the Wretch on top of an Elite. And then I'm going to start hurling bombardments in and my Fallen die as I go in there for that meat shield bonus wrath, which means a lot of demons die and instantly I have a 10 seconds long Wretch instead of a 5 second long one. Our 3 choices are Death Sauce, Punching Back, and Domination, where Death Sauce I think is the best one. It has Sauce grinding around the Tortured Wretch, dealing damage and having a chance to eviscerate opponents. Eviscerate is the take bleed damage and then bleed damage over time Kavam that Warlock can do. That's how the Saw Blades would be looking. perfect versus bosses, elites, whatsoever. And don't forget, he's taunting things around him. So we pretty much summon this on top of our opponents, and they're being ground up, they're being eviscerated, they're taking damage, and I'm just hurling those demons in.
That sounds cool.
Bag has the Tortured Wretch not taunt anymore, 5 seconds duration, and you redirect all damage to it as long as you stay in the area. It can absorb up to 100% of your maximum life before it's killed. When the demon dies, it explodes, dealing 500% damage and fortifying you. Sounds interesting on the one hand. On the other hand, if it's taunting, why would I need it then to absorb damage from me? If he's pretty much taunting enemies away from me. Domination no longer spawns a wretch, but I can dominate targets for 15 seconds, forcing them to be the taunter, and take 50% damage when hit. Recast to direct the target around the battlefield. Tortured Wretch is now an Abyss Occult skill. Problem with that version is, sure, you can dominate an enemy in the open world, but as soon as we're at bosses, I have one complete dead skill. That's not actually better than the Saw Wretch, making Death Saw our absolute top tier choice for a defensive skill with the Tortured Wretch. Then we have to make a choice between Rampage or Nether Steps as our travel skill. I do believe that Nether Step might be better during leveling, because we can simply go for Nether Step with an additional charge. That's it. We don't have to go for any of the 3 choices. No. We just simply want our Nether Step to be one jump and then another jump. And oh boy, does it look useful. I mean, you just zoom in like that. Perfection. The alternative would be Rampage. This is a greater demon that helps with our Legion skill again. However, it also does cost dominance to summon, and we're using up some dominance for our Tortured Wretch already. That being said, the Rampage has another bonus, and that's called Lesser Demon Wrath. Casting Rampage compels your Lesser Demon skills to generate 1 Wrath per hit for 5 seconds. Now, our Lesser Demon skills are the Command Fallen, so if they're rotating around us with meat shields, we're going to get even more Wrath, and then even more Wrath. But more importantly, the Bombardment is summoning 9 demons. We said it before. And if I slam in 9 demons, that's going to be then 9 Wrath per summon that I'm getting bonus. So 1 Rampage cast allows me to spam more of my Bombardment. With Elite chance, Rampage also has a 100% chance to trigger its Eviscerate, Volatility, or Knockdown hit effect when striking unaffected elite enemies. Technically, we could go for Demon Masher, where Rampage now smashes your lesser demons to fortify you for 2% of your maximum life. And what I would like to know is, if I use Demon Masher, and then I turn this into a Demonic Smash skill, where instead of summoning this Demonic Brute now, I will actually turn this skill into a Mobility Travel skill. Would I then instantly kill those lunatics that are around me and instantly fortify on every single jump? That's, by the way, the option we want to go for if we're then not going for Nether Step, right? The advantage here is Nether Step is a cooldown with 2 charges, yes. Rampage is only bound to how much dominance we have. So if I have enough dominance, I could just Rampage forward and into our opponent multiple times. Sure, I couldn't then use the Wretch right away, but I can pretty much Rampage inside, I explode, I fortify, and then I simply follow up with a Bombardment, and everyone's dead. Alternative, your Rampage Demon has a Shockwave where he hits a second smash forward, or you make him an even more powerful version of the Abyssal Titan. Now, the strong part about Rampage is that it also has a chance to eviscerate, just like our Tortured Wretch. So having this as a travel skill instead of the Nether Step might be simply more opportune, as if I now jump or summon the demon, in both cases I'll get bonus eviscerate on top of my Tortured Wretch. Now, it might be better to not straight away play this as a jump while leveling, and actually do summon the Shockwave, where you have that double smashing demonic maniac going away and absolutely obliterating everyone, simply because we don't require that much mobility during the campaign and during leveling. But that's pretty much down to you how fast you want to feel. Now we're coming to the problem territory, and that would be the Sigil of Summons. As you notice, with the ultimate, I would have my bar already full, because one of the skills is always going to be Summon Agrim. This dude we're getting for choosing the Legion Shard. And Agrim is an amazing demon with a command skill where he spews forward Vile Children, which are also lesser demons that then die, fuel the shard further so I can get demonic greater demon skills for free. Agrim is going to be permanently there. He's just following you around and does quite some damage too. Has the summon tag, so if I get more attack speed, he gets more attack speed. Now, as cool slow as he is, he blocks a skill slot. And since we want Rampage kind of as our travel skill, and then we still have to play the Wretch, and we kind of have to play Bombardment, the only skill we can really kick out is Command Fallen down the line. Now during leveling, this is not going to happen, because we simply require Command Fallen to restore Wrath. But as we then get to level 70, as we then get potentially aspects and tempers that help us with the bombardment span, might it also be cost reduction because Wrath costs currently 30. Then we can finally kick Command Fallen out and use the Sigil of Summon that says create a binding ritual for 10 seconds that extends the duration of your summons. Killing 8 enemies or demons within fuels the ritual to summon a demon. Now we're going to use here the specialization Summon Hellworm. If I kill 16 demons, my own demons inside here, we'll summon a Hellworm that mimics what we're doing. Now 16 demons sounds like a lot, but let's not forget that bombardment is 9 demons per bombardment if we then do spam it away with brutality. Ergo, we're going to really quickly have this Sigil of Summons where we then spam inside after jumping forward, after putting out our Reg on top of the opponent, getting the Hellworm that then spawns out bonus bombardments, and we're destroying it all. We're super machine gun demons. Best part is, with damage, enemies inside take 25% increased damage from your lesser demon skills. Oh yes, bombardment is the lesser demon skill. On top, we could play stronger summons, where it costs us 25% more kills to summon a Hellworm, but then the bombardment out of that would be even more powerful. Or we would use cooldown and then summon the Wretch inside our Sigil of Summons. The Wretch runs out with the Sigil, the cooldown is reduced, we can put it up earlier. I guess the maximum damage nuking might be more opportune. This gets us finally to the Fiend of Abaddon, our big bang slasher. The Fiend of Abaddon is that red demon monstrosity you summon slaying out. The good part is this one has the summon tag, ergo more attack speed for me, faster swinging for him. The Fiend can get more damage the more enemies are around it when you summon it. Not too hot. Casting Fiend of Abaddon also increases the damage of our lesser demons.
So yeah, that's why the bombardment.
15 seconds, 20% more damage. Sigil of Summoning out, 25% more damage. 1 Rampage lead, better Wrath generation. Our beautiful Tortured Wretch being there, taunting them and having them be eviscerated, while I then absolutely beat into them with a bombardment. And here comes another cool thing. Our Legion Shard has a fragment called the Evisceration Fragment. While an enemy is eviscerated, we are going to be able to do that, right? Our Wretch is going to do this, our Rampage is going to do this. Demons prioritize them and gain movement speed.
Damn.
The Monology skills gain a 2% chance to eviscerate.
That looks fun too.
Already eviscerated. So they already took a banger bleed boom with bleed damage over time, but then I'm yeeting in demons with bombardment, and it's 9 hits per cast.
That's crazy.
Those 9 hits per cast are being fueled by the Sigil of Summons on top, while then your Wretch is grinding him too with his saw blades. This should lead to the evisceration fragment triggering over and over and over again. At the bottom, the Fiend of Abaddon could get 25% increased damage. However, what we want to choose is dominance. Fiend of Abaddon now costs 30 dominance and has no cooldown. Why is this so important? Because if it has no cooldown, I can always summon it whenever my Legion charge reaches the 50 demons. So that's, yeah, perfect, right? I'm going to spend my bombardment, and then I can already summon my ultimate just like that. And if we then don't want to get bothered to summon it very often, we can choose Spiteful and Rage. If an enemy survives more than 5 hits from the Fiend of Abaddon, then each subsequent hit increases damage versus that target by 2%, extends up to 60 seconds in total, which has your Great Demon affected by attack speed just slides and dies away, getting stronger, stronger, and stronger with every hit, while you then keep the dominance to summon your other greater demon. Alternate, you can turn it into a Shadow Demon that does a lot of damage and can do this Shadow Boom attack, slamming his weapon down. Abyssal Colossus is certainly not bad, especially because of 325% bonus damage per swipe, and then another 500% bonus damage when you go for the Recast Explosion. The last choice would be Vanguard of Flames, where he's turned into a demon that actually comes with you. Instead of summoning it at a location, he's pretty much stuck to you in your butthole. You're going to drag him around the battlefield. Now, considering we're mostly going to use him against bosses, I kind of feel like Spiteful and Rage might be the best choice, especially later in the pit when fights are actually taking longer. If I was going for lair bosses, maybe Abyssal Colossus is better if I have like a 10 to 20 seconds fight tops, right? However, the Spiteful and Rage just makes him stronger, stronger, and stronger. And if I have then a lot of attack speed bonus he swings even faster to get stronger faster.
This seems kind of broken, actually.
What aspects could we use to juice this even further? The first one we're looking for is this amulet, the Seed of Horazon. No. Your demonology skills deal 0.75 increased damage per wrath you have, and you take 0.25% reduced damage per dominance you have. We start at 100 wrath, 75% bonus damage. Whatever point more of wrath we get, through whichever means, will make us vastly stronger. And demonology skills is everything we do. We don't have a not demonology skill. Then for our offhand focus, we get the Eye of Baal, Soul Shard skills. That is the Angrim. And their demons deal 80% bonus damage. Casting a Soul Shard skill increases all your damage by 10% for 15 seconds up to 15. I assume that with a 10-second cooldown on Angrim, I'm going to be able to always have this up. I mean, if I'm going through a pit, we start, I do it once, and at the end of the pit, I'll just have that 50%, and I'll be able to take it to the boss, as the boss nowadays spawns on you. And again, the Angrim skill has a 10-second cooldown. So that's going to be an absolute zero problem. Then we get a chest plate called Agrim's Schism. Agrim is and its summons deal 50% increased damage. That's kind of sad because it doesn't do anything for our bombardment. However, you additionally summon Agrim's other half, whatever that means, and gain a second charge of Command Agrim, which just spews forward all his tiny lesser demons that then die and allow us to summon the... You get the drift, right? Quite good versus boss, especially double instant stack of the Eye of Baal. Then as a defensive aspect, we have Fiendish Oppression. Summoning a greater demon knocks enemies around it for 5 seconds. Okay. That would also be our Tortured Wretch. We summon the Tortured Wretch, boom, everything gets knocked down. Your lesser demon skills deal increased damage to crowd-controlled enemies. Well, they're taunted, they're crowd-controlled, they're knocked down. Fantastic. XX bonus damage, whatever it's going to be. Then Feckin' Seal Ring. Sigil of Summons deals 100% increased damage, and you can summon up to 3 additional Demon Swarmers with skills outside the ritual. This should allow us to then go for Ultra Bombardments in the late game with a Sigil of Summons. Sadly, we don't have Tempers or more of the uniques, as I assume there is a Bombardment unique. There is probably a unique also for Rampage, maybe even for Tortured Wretch. This we will then have to see on release. But I hope I could already give you a first feeling for how the complete build is going to play. You simply Rampage jump forward into their opponents, summon that Tortured Wretch, bombardment away. Against bosses, the same, with the hope that the Eviscerate stacking works like a charm. No worries though, I will play this game on release of this season. This is my build. This is what I'm going to go for. This is what I'm going to max out. This is what I'm going to bring to Torment 12. Have the full build planner with the level 1 to 70, Torment 1 to everything up for you with the reality then of the game updated. What do you think? Does this sound amazing? Or are you rather interested in other Warlock skills? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want...
Yeah. All right, chat. It was going to be a short stream today. I think we're going to call it there. We kind of have an idea. I'm probably going to run the Abyssal build. The Abyss Dreadclaws build. I like the idea of being able to just point and attack at specific locations and being able to run like attack, run, attack, run, attack, run. I've always liked that kind of play style, so it seems like pretty insane. But that could change, once we get to end game. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. I will see y'all later tonight. What's probably going to happen is I'm going to get off at 6. Probably going to have a quick little dinner because the expansion opens at 6, but the season doesn't start until 6:30. So that means I won't be able to make a seasonal character till 6:30. So it's not going to be anything really crazy. So I'm probably going to wait till 6:30. I'm going to eat right after I get off, hop on, and then we're going to stream probably a few hours. I'm probably going to take off tomorrow. Yeah, I'm probably definitely most likely going to take off tomorrow. I want to grind all day tomorrow.